What's up, Habs fans? Welcome to the Habs Tonight Postgame Show with myself, Damon, and Marco. Listen, we know, okay, we're going to get into it. The end of the game was a bit crazy. But guys, general opinions on the overall game before the little circus we saw in overtime.
Before
Damon,
we
we'll
get
start
into
with you, buddy.
the craziness.
Yeah.
Dean Morton.
Wow. Yeah,
Dean
go
Morton.
ahead, Damon.
Like that to me, like it just blows my mind. Like with that, like Dean Morton, like his officiating to me, like especially this game and the overtime, double whammy. Like that one was 50-50, the first goalie interference, because like that one could have counted. Like I understand potentially the case for counting, like at least maybe like if the offside didn't happen, but we all know like on the replay it's really clear that Kurashev's goal was offside, and it just blows my mind how they went to the situation room and it was not called offside. It's clearly offside, and I just don't get how they dropped the ball in that unless like they saw a different angle, but from all the angles I saw, it was very clearly offside.
Yeah, especially the amount of time they took on that play too. I mean, you would think they have enough time to make the proper call. And we saw when they called the initial play a good goal, the ref really came out to everybody in the stand and said, "Hold up, wait a minute. We're challenging the play for offside." So like all the Habs fans watching at home, we're like, okay, great. This is the string of hope that we need. And then we take a look at the replays. It's clear that the player doesn't have full possession of the puck on a stick. It's kind of like a semicircle in the air. I don't count that as possession. I don't know about you lads, but I certainly don't. I don't think a lot of the Habs fan watching do. But anyways, I mean, that first play, I agree, could have gone either way. It was very, very like to the wire, very close, where that puck crossed the line, or it was crossing the line, whether or not right there, yeah, you could see it. Like that puck is crossing the line, whether or not the net comes off. So that's very tight. If they would, I have no problem with them calling that a goal, honestly.
Yeah.
But that offside call and the amount of time that they took just to get that wrong just pisses me off to no end. And I'm sure that all the Habs fans at home feel our pain. Shane, we'll have you get into it, buddy. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, as we saw the comment before there, props to Hoffman first of all for the back check there. That was beautiful. But if we touch on the first call, which was okay, did the puck cross the line? Right? Was it goaltender interference? There's a case for both sides, but to me, it's pretty clear cut. The net comes off, and then the puck crosses, right? And Hoffman does not drive into the net. He drives into Kurashev, and they just happen to both go into the net. So to me, that one right away, no goal. Okay. But then you go one step further and say, oh, wait, might be offside, which it is. It is offside. And they have the balls. Sorry, the Toronto War Room has the balls because they made the call, right? The Toronto War Room says, no, he had possession. That wasn't offside. Double whammy, like you said there, Damon.
You know what I think it is, Shane? I think the Toronto War Room is a little bit salty about the loss yesterday that they got to Arizona. I think they might be a smidge salty and they want to get back at the old rival Habs. No. I mean, jokes aside, it blows my mind too, but it's clear that the net comes off before the puck crosses the line. But what's the official ruling? Because we've seen this in the past where refs have given this play or similar plays like this a good goal because they see that the puck with the momentum, it's carrying it past the goal line. So they're like, okay, it's going to cross anyways. It's going to be a goal. I'm just curious, is that what the rule is? If they notice that it's clearly going in, even though the net comes off first, do they still give it a good goal? Is that really what it is? Because I don't know at this point.
It seems like nobody knows, honestly. It seems like nobody, even the refs, even the Toronto War Room, it seems like nobody knows what the ruling is.
Not even the top executives.
We're all just, okay, let's do this. Let's do that, I guess. You know, it's not professional. This is the highest stage of hockey in the world. Doesn't get any bigger than this, okay? And we get this. And this is the first time. Like, this is not the first time. It's continuously bad. It's continuously, this or that. Like, it's such a gray zone, right? We need black and white. We need to know, okay, this is legal, this isn't. But we have too big of a gray zone. The goaltender interference is crazy. Now we see that we have a problem with offsides. what's next? Like, is the game really getting that fast that the rule book can't even follow? That's
especially offside. I
crazy.
mean, offside should be black and white. Goaltender interference, puck crossing the line. When it's close like that, you could have some margin for error, or just because of how close the play is. But it's when it comes to offside, it's either the play is offside or it's not offside.
Right.
This is an all-time low. Sorry for NHL refereeing, and it blows. It just blows. I have no words right now. I don't know if it could get any more low than this. And as a Habs fan, I would have completely preferred that they would have just called the initial play a good goal, that the puck crossed the line, and that they didn't make us go through the hassle of waiting just to blow our bubble and to say that it wasn't offside when evidence showed that it is. It's ridiculous.
Exactly. Like, one thing I want to touch on is the KHL does a better job of disciplining their officials and keeping consistency in the games. For example, one time in 2015 in the KHL, the two teams were playing 5-on-5, and one team had 6 skaters on the ice. They didn't even pull the goalie, or there was no power play. They had 6 skaters and they scored. All 4 officials missed it, and guess what? They were sent down to the VHL the next game. That's what I think needs to happen with the NHL. They need to sent down to the AHL, ECHL. They should be sent down like to lower leagues. Like, if players don't perform or they're on rehabilitation, sometimes they're sent down to the minors. So why not do the same thing to the refs? Like, it's just ridiculous that they're not held accountable.
They should definitely be held accountable, or at least answer to their decisions. Like, you have such an important role in a hockey game. You should be able, especially when it comes to game deciding decisions, you should be able to explain yourself in front of the media to basically say, okay, like, this is my job. This is why I called the play as is. I agree with you, Damon. They should be held accountable for something, or if not, at the very least, explain their decisions to the media. And this is also just very painful as Habs fans to see as well, just because I think for once in this crazy season that we've been having, we've seen the Habs more or less control the overtime sequence. Like, when have we ever seen that ever this season? This is literally like a nightmare that unfolded between our eyes. And yeah, anyways, we'll try to switch topics now. I know we got a lot to get into. There's no point of talking about the bads now. Let's just move on to the positives, because there was a lot this game. So Shane, I'll let you take it away with that.
That's it. We actually had a game before all that happened. And the first point I want to touch on here is the new guy, right? Rem Pitlick was a waiver pickup, and he already makes his Habs debut tonight. Finished with actually 19 minutes of play, which is pretty nice. He actually got some time in overtime as well, so that's pretty cool. He got 1 hit, 1 takeaway. So again, decent game. So I wanted to know what you guys thought of Rem Pitlick's first game as a Hab.
He was amazing, to put it simply. Like, he was all over the puck. He was creating chances, and the thing is, he said he had good chemistry with Drew and I found, but unfortunately, they weren't able to find anything. And the other thing is, I also want to touch on is Rem Pitlick. His younger brother Rhett is a Montreal Canadiens prospect right now, and I'm pretty excited for Rhett because he plays the game like a younger Paul Byron. And you just imagine one day if they're both on the Habs. We're gonna have 2 Pitlicks, and both of them are related to Tyler Pitlick on Calgary.
Yeah, pretty cool.
The Pitlicker brothers. Yeah, hopefully we can see them all reunited one day, right?
That's an all-time name right there. Wow,
a Pitlick line.
Yeah, wow. Just the Pitlickers. I think, just put simply, that's just got the best ring to it. But no, I agree with you guys completely. I think he had a great game. He was all over the ice. He was flying out there. First game as a Hab, he wants to prove himself. So that's exactly what he was doing. He was bringing the intensity. It's getting physical. And you can even see in the overtime period too. He was getting involved. He nearly set up a chance. I mean, there's a lot of players who really had a great showing this game. And I think also one person who we have to mention is Jeff Petrie. How great was it to see him score tonight, boys? After everything he's gone through this season, after everything the team has gone through this season, and compared to the season he had the last game, I don't know. I think this was, like you said, Damon, in our chat earlier, this is a huge gorilla off the back for him. A King Kong-sized gorilla off the back of Jeff Petrie. Yeah. What do you guys think?
It's just too bad that he took a bonehead penalty that led to the tying goal by Kane. But if we look at the positives here, I mean, Petrie, he had 3 shots, 4 hits, 2 blocks, 22 minutes of ice time. That's the Petrie that we know. That's the Petrie from last season. Hopefully he keeps going on like this. But I was very pleased with his game, very surprised. Sucks to say, but really it's not been his season. But tonight he was flying out there, and it was nice to see. So obviously some kinks to ash out here. I mean, he had 3 giveaways still, so not entirely up to date, but so far so good. I like what you did there, Mr. Petrie. Beautiful man. He's back.
Yeah,
Damon,
he was
what'd you
just
think?
amazing tonight. I really liked his game. He played like he played like the old Petrie, as I'm sure as you guys said, but today it just feels like it was more of a new like the new old Jeff Petrie. But yeah, he was really fun to watch, and I do think from here I could see things getting better for him, which I really hope they do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had it on the header just now. Another guy who had a great showing, Romanov.
Mm-hmm.
He just continuously this season, he's been there to show that he's the heavy hitter on the team. He's the guy who, when healthy, he's one of the guys who will give you 100%, some of the most intense efforts out of all the players. And I'm just so happy as a Habs fan that we have someone like this. Every team needs that hard hitter, that guy that's not afraid to drop the gloves, that will stand up for his team and will make the momentum shifting plays in the game when we need them. I mean, even though Romanov got dropped in his fight, it was definitely a momentum shift, the hit, which was definitely a clean hit. So just that alone shifted the momentum in our favor, and it kept the game close. And he's done this time and time again this season, and it's just so great to see from him.
Mm-hmm. I think there's one point you mentioned there, Marco, where you said it's a clean hit, and it really was. Like everything about that hit was clean and it was beautiful. But one part that I hate though is when there's a clean hit and then the player automatically drops the gloves. Like, okay, sure, he laid your buddy out, but
That
come
was a
on,
bit
like
much.
why do you need to fight him for? And the guy, okay, landed a few punches on Romy's helmet, but didn't do much damage. And then he's like, yeah, oh, I'm the man. No, you're not. You just cost your team a penalty. I believe we scored on that penalty as well.
Yeah,
Hoffman did score on that, so he's an idiot.
Yeah.
But Romanov, man, insane hit. And overall, he just had a nice game. Like he had an assist, 2 shots on goal, 6 hits, 19 minutes of play. Fantastic. First game back out of COVID. I don't know how his symptoms were, but pretty impressive. What do you think, Damon?
I really liked his game. Like he definitely is throwing the body more, which I do think he needs to do more to be more successful in this league. And I'm happy Dom's letting him embracing his nature, which is nature as a defenseman is kind of to be a bit wild out there and throw the body a lot. And when he gets the opportunity to jump into the rush and take those shots. And I definitely want to see more of that. And I hope to see more of him on the power play.
Yeah,
because like Sherratt was, I'm sure we know, is quarterbacking that first unit, and we do know that there's a chance that he gets traded, which is like more than likely. And every game that goes on with Sherratt, he just seems to be raising his stock like this. Yeah, and then Romy, I'd love to see him on the second unit. They're just getting that power play time and even releasing that puck on the power play. And he's just been such a bright spot. He also had an assist on Petrie's goal, Romanov. Or I should say Romanov. Okay, got us to get that stuck in my head.
Yeah, no, he's definitely a rock on the defensive side on our team, and I'm excited to see what the future brings for him. I definitely think he's going to be a key piece in our team for the foreseeable future for years to come. And it was on the headline as well that Cole Caufield, he hasn't had the best season. It was very quiet, especially compared to last season. A little disappointing, some people might say, but it's good to see him get a point. But I'm gonna be honest, boys. I think I have a little bit of concern. I was seeing, especially earlier in the game, especially on the power play, he had a lot of chances where he could have got a few goals or at least some shots on net, but it was at least twice in the same sequence he couldn't quite control the puck. And we've seen it, I think he's kind of the victim of being juggled around the team so much. I mean, the Habs have gone through so much with COVID and with injuries. He hasn't really found his spot in the lineup. And I know it's very important for players when they really want to get it going to have their permanent partners. And I just think that Cole, I mean, we all know he's a much better player than what we've been seeing from him this season, but I just think he's really the victim of not finding his true partner. So, I mean, maybe it's a little bit concerning, but I don't know. What do you guys think about that? And if so, who do you guys think he could be an appropriate partner for him for next season?
Yeah, I think he would only benefit from, like you said, steady partners, right? If he's in a situation where, like we saw tonight, the Brinkat, right? The Brinkat is the same height. They're the same build. Caufield might actually have slightly more potential than the Brinkat, if I'm being optimistic here, right? But the Brinkat, the difference is the Brinkat has had more time in the league. Obviously, he's a more seasoned player. I won't say he's a vet yet, but
He also plays with Patrick Kane too. Let's not forget that.
And the chemistry, right? No matter who you play with, obviously it's easy when you play with Patrick Kane, but they have good chemistry. That's what matters here. And until Caufield gets that guy where it just gels, it's like, oh, okay, boom, get these two together, it's magic. We're gonna see this, right? On the power play, though, I did like 3 minutes of power play. He got that nice assist to Hoffman. If he can get that going, that's good. But then 5-on-5, he really needs good, steady partners. That's it. And it'll come further down the road because we know this season, it's going to keep juggling and we're driving by the seat of our pants. But give him a couple of years, I'm not worried.
Same here. Like the thing I think with Caufield right now is just this year, I find that he's gone into a bit of unfortunate habits where he's either holding his stick too tight or he's not releasing the puck when he should. For example, I was watching during intermission, they were breaking down some of the plays regarding Laurent Dauphin, who plays on Caufield's line with Ryan Poehling. And here's the thing that kind of catches my old Dauphin. They showed that he has quite the range to shoot the puck. And if Caufield wasn't in on the forecheck constantly, and they kind of switched Caufield with Dauphin, Dauphin was on the forecheck, Caufield would, knowing his release, would easily either get an assist or a goal or create a nice scoring chance. But Dauphin, in my opinion, has had some issues releasing the puck where he's trying to be too perfect. While Caufield's out there on the forecheck, I don't know if you want to like switch them around or give them different instructions when they're out there. But to me, I'm personally not concerned with Caufield. The way I feel is that it's just an unfortunate situation. And Caufield was having a discussion with Jack Hughes, I heard of, apparently. And Jack Hughes just told him, like, don't worry, these are growing pains in the NHL. And Caufield did say, I heard online that he did say, like, I'd rather face my adversity now in the NHL than when I'm in like a playoff runner and further down the line. So I'd rather have the team and the youngsters make their mistakes now and face their adversity instead of when they're in the contending mode. Because this year's, of course, a rebuild year. So yeah.
No, definitely. I'd rather he make his mistakes now while the season's not in jeopardy and while he's still young, he's still developing. And I think you brought up a good point there, Damon, where I definitely think with Cole this season, maybe there's a little bit more of a mental factor that we may think, considering last year was kind of like a Cinderella year for him, kind of like a Cinderella story. Everything was just going his way. This season, especially with the slow start that the Habs got, maybe he was kind of thinking a little bit too much about trying to make the perfect plays or try to elevate his game to the point where he just thinks too hard about certain plays. Like you mentioned, Damon, holding his stick a little bit too close or a little bit too tight. And we saw it today, like maybe thinking about the shot before the puck even lands on your stick. Maybe that's why he mishandled the puck a couple of times on that power play sequence I was talking about earlier. So I definitely think, especially since he's so young, he might also be a victim of that. Just, okay, he's really trying to replicate that first year that he had. And he's making a little bit mental notes. But hey, I mean, this is all about the part of growing as an individual and as a player. So, like you said, Damon, I'd rather he make his mistakes now than later down the line when we're competitive and we're fighting for playoffs, etc. And you also mentioned the fact about trying to be a little bit too perfect. And I think this was a growing kind of like topic for the Canadiens all around the season for seasons past, where just in general plays, they would just try to be too perfect, set up the perfect passes to get goals. But tonight, after the first period, I think they just let the shots rip. They're just really playing the same hockey that every team should be playing. They stop thinking about trying to find the perfect plays to get the puck in the net, and they just brought the firepower to the Blackhawks today, which is something that was very encouraging to see, at least from my point of view. I don't know if you guys had any other encouraging point of views, but that was definitely one for me.
Yeah, the stat that jumps off to me is in the hits category. We had 39 hits tonight compared to 24 for the Blackhawks. So very physical game. Everybody was involved. Let me look. Who didn't have a hit tonight? Caufield didn't have a hit. Dauphin didn't have a hit. Lehkonen didn't have a hit. And Kulak didn't have a hit. Everybody else had a hit tonight, at least one. And then you have Romy, who has 6. Petrie and Sherratt have 4. Armia had 5. So again, I saw most people more involved than in the Boston game, even though Boston game was pretty rough. But I felt like starting with the second period, coming on to the overtime, guys wanted it more. The first period was trash. We'll forget about that one. But second and third, a lot more involvement. And it seems just like the guys wanted it more,
Yeah, for sure. And I think we should maybe address this question here that we have over here. Here we have Montreal MUFC asking, when would you send Caufield to help Laval fight for a playoff spot? I think we must consider that too. I want him to lead his own way. Damon, what do you think about that question? What's your standpoint on that?
I really like this question because it definitely, of course, definitely creates a bit of tension here because like some of us might have different opinions. But for me, I personally am, I'm personally a fan of is sending him back if we're in the position because I do know in Laval we're about like a middle of the pack fringe team, and I do know Caufield won't have to go through waivers if we send him down, and we do know Caufield's had success in Laval when he has played there, and he's had his line mates such as Ryan Paling, Harvey Pinard, Dauphin. He's developed chemistry with some of the guys down there, and I do think if you send him down there and to play and compete for a Calder Cup or even just the playoff spot, I do think it'll be a good experience for him. I don't think it can really hurt him because in the NHL up here, we do know that things aren't great, but in Laval, we do know that they're for sure better. So I do think by sending him down, we get more of a chance of Caufield getting that playoff experience. So that's definitely something else that I find interesting. And one thing I've also thought about now that Montreal MUFC asks that question, if the US, like for the World Championships, do you think for the US for the World Championships in 2022, let's say they actually happen, which I hope they do. Nothing's been canceled yet, but do you guys think the US, depending on Caufield's status, could ask him to go over and play for them or not? Because I do think that Canada will ask Suzuki.
Yeah, where would it be though? Is it in the US?
It's not in the US. It's somewhere in Europe. I don't know if they're holding in Latvia again, but I do know it's in either Europe or Russia.
Yeah, it all depends on COVID, in my opinion. That's a sad thing to say, but it really does. If the NHLPA doesn't feel that it's safe for their players to go travel like that and step out of their team's, COVID bubble, whatever protocol. I don't know how it works, but I guess it only depends on COVID. Sad.
It's for teams that are currently eliminated from the playoffs or World Championships.
Okay. Yeah, but it's still like, since Caufield belongs to the Habs, I feel like, they have a big say in that. If they don't feel comfortable letting him go, tough call. Maybe he would love to. I feel like a lot of players would love to, but I think the teams would have a big say in that, and I'm not sure they'd let the guys go. Tough call.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's one thing letting him go to Laval, but another thing going to represent the U.S. team because, so many things could go wrong with injury, especially in a competitive tournament like that. And going back to the original question that we were answering, I do picture the Habs sending him to Laval at a later point in the season to get that playoff experience, just because mainly we've seen Cole play some of his best hockey this season when he was with the Rocket. And I think this season, in his, I guess you could say, sophomore year, is about him developing his confidence, getting that up so that he could be the best player that he could be. And this season hasn't really gone his way necessarily. And there's a lot of more things that could have gone his way. But I think if you were to send him down to Laval in a position where he could potentially play his best hockey, get on the score sheet, just get that confidence up. Once you do that, next season or in the off season as well in training camp, he'll go in, he'll be feeling rejuvenated like a brand new player. And I think that's really what would help out our team for next season. So I'm all for that if the Habs want to do that, depending on his health, depending on COVID, depending on Laval's situation and ours. But I definitely think that's a good move on the Habs part if they decide to carry on with that.
That's fair. That's fair. So, boys, if we kind of take a step back from tonight's game, we had some other news come out today. First one being Chris Weidman getting a 1-game suspension for I don't know, knocking
Headbutt?
Eric Holla in the head.
That's what they called
It's
it.
yeah, it's not even a headbutt, but he just did this. What'd you guys think of that suspension there?
I personally disagree with it because he was in a headlock and he's trying to get out and he's doing whatever he can. So I don't, in my opinion, if you're going to suspend him for 1 game, you should suspend Howla as well because Howla continued to punch him with his gloves on.
Yeah.
So for me, I just think that George Peros and the Department of Player Safety, in my mind, didn't get this right. As I'm sure we know, they have a history, like it goes on with like a whole Tom Wilson situation and other things of them not getting things right. But to me, like this is another one where they really screwed up because a guy is just trying to defend himself and he gets suspended for essentially defending himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when you look at it like that, I think it's easy to say that he shouldn't have been suspended, that he was trying to defend himself. But unfortunately, I don't think the NHL Player Safety Association, I don't think they look at it that way. Unfortunately, I think they're just trying to do whatever they can to protect the players. Even though there might be the smallest margin of contact there, they'll do what they can to protect the players. So even if it's just a little headbutt like we saw, I'm not surprised. If it were more than 1 game, that would have been a little ridiculous. But the fact that it was a 1-game suspension, it's not the end of the world, and it's not like it's a crazy thing to lose players at this point in the season. But I definitely understand why they would suspend him. I don't necessarily agree with it either. I think he was just trying to defend himself, but you do have to look at their position on these kind of decisions as well, I think.
Yeah, that's it. And, like you mentioned, Damon, there, Hall kind of plunges into him after that, which, it's a little scummy, but whatever. 1 game isn't the end of the world. And I think Weidman has no regrets. I'll speak for him on that one because I wouldn't either. That was a good move. It wasn't dangerous because he hit him on the side of the head. He didn't hit him on the face. If he actually headbutt him on the nose or something, then that's a little severe. But Eric Holla didn't have a single injury. He kept playing the game. He's fine, right? So it's a little extra there. But guys, we got to touch on this here. Nick Suzuki is named to the All-Star team this year. Listen, I personally have so many problems with the All-Star format. I'm sure you guys do as well. So, Marco, get into it, buddy. Lay it on us.
So many things. I mean, I think the format of having 1 player represent each team in the All-Star game has really ruined the kind of what the All-Star game is meant to be, which is the best players in the season. The fact that you need to have 1 representative of each team, I think, in my opinion, kind of ruins it because you are having all-star quality players like Brad Marchand not able to compete or not able to show off his skills, I should say, because his teammate Patrice Bergeron is taking his place for him. And you could say the same thing too. Artemi Panarin isn't in the All-Star lineup either. There's just so many things wrong with the format, and I think it should just go to the older days where they just had the best players go. But that's why the fact that Marchand, for example, is not going because his teammate is instead. I mean, especially considering the season he had. I mean, he scored a hat trick against us yesterday. Yeah. Let's not forget about that. So he definitely should be a player that's there and that's not. And that's just one example of the many that I could pull out of the hat. But for our point of view, I'm happy that Suzuki is representing our team for the All-Star lineup. If it's going to be anybody this season, I think it's got to be Suzuki. So I'm happy with the selection. In a normal season, I don't think he would make an All-Star lineup. But because we have the 1 representative from each team, that's why he's there. But happy to see Suzuki there, and I definitely think he'll have a lot of skill to showcase when he's there, and I'm excited to see that.
What do you think, Damon?
Same here. Like for me, in my opinion, one thing I'd like to do is I'd also like to see a change, not just in the format where it's best on best entirely. One thing I'd really love to see is if they do what they did in the past, which is an all-star draft. But they select 4 superstars. Let's say they go like this. Let's say they have Nathan McKinnon draft a team, Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby, and Alex Ovechkin all draft their own team for a 3-on-3 tournament instead of doing the division. Like, I enjoy the divisions, don't get me wrong. I find them pretty fun to watch, but one part of the thing I enjoyed as a fan was always watching the drafts and always seeing who gets the car, and Ovi begging for him to be being picked last in 2015 so we'd get that car.
Gold.
But I really hope that they can try out a new format where all the all-stars get to pick their own teams, and then they of course compete in that tournament in the skills competition. And I think that would draw a bit more attention, because you got to know who a bit of the bigger players are. For example, like if you're to go across the world and you were to ask them who Connor McDavid is, most people out of North America or Europe, I don't know who he is. But let's just say you go to any other country and you ask him, like, who's Lionel Messi, or who's Kylian Mbappe, or who's Cristiano Ronaldo, or like who's some of the best, like Tom Brady, or you ask like who's Mike Trout. Like a lot of these athletes, in my opinion, usually if you ask them who the best of them are, like a lot of the people around the world know. But I find in North America, hockey hasn't really been grown enough. But I think this is a good way to grow the game if they do this kind of format.
Yeah. Nah, like you said, this is a fantastic opportunity for the NHL to grow the game, and they're completely ruining it. I mean, you take a good league that's doing it well, like the NBA, where they have a format where it's East against West, as it should be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the fans vote for the players to go in, and then the coaches also bring in players that maybe got snubbed, right? In this case, obviously, we're going to get some, I forget what they call it, but fans also get to vote some players who got snubbed in. Anyways, it's stupid. In. Yeah. So, and I looked at the lineups. Some teams have like 3 defensemen. Some teams have 1 defenseman. You know, it's not actual teams. And then the 3-on-3 is like a double-edged sword to me, because it is fun. You know, a lot happens, a lot of goals. It's cool. It's entertaining. But then again, like you said, Marco, you get a bunch of guys who got snubbed and guys who shouldn't be there. Let's be honest, your Nick Suzuki doesn't belong in the All-Star game this year. If
that's it,
you know, he will be an All-Star in the future, no doubt about it. But you look at guys who aren't there. Brad Marchand, love him or hate him, he should be there. You got guys like Troy Terry, who's lighting it up this season. He's got 22 goals or something like that. He's not there, you know. And then you got other guys like Jordan Eberle going. Who's the Adam Pelech from the Islanders is going. Like, come on, that's a little ridiculous, you know. Why is Matt Barzal not going? You know, I think it's just a ruined opportunity for the NHL. They have the template. Just do what the NBA does. They do it well. You know, everybody looks forward to it. I mean, the NBA also has a rookie game, which should be fun. You know, there's so many things you could do. And I feel like, you know, every year, okay, whatever, we talk less about the game itself and more about the skills, but even the skills are getting boring. Like I'll go back to Matt Barzal here. He's one of the fastest guys in the league. He beat out McDavid and he's not even going, you know? So even the skills I'm not looking forward to. So I think the NHL really screwed the pooch on that one. They need to give the All-Star game a new look. It's very sad, honestly, because like you said, Damon, it's a perfect opportunity to grow the game, and they're just thrown out the window.
Yeah, I think you guys are really spot on with that one. Like you said, Shane, I really think they should follow that NBA format. They should have a set number of, let's say, forwards, a set number of defensemen, a set number of goalies, and then let the fans vote who should fill in those spots instead of having, the fan favorite from each team. Because then, like you said, we might get positions where you have some teams that are stacked on forwards that don't have enough on D, or you just have some players who deserve to be put on there that don't. I mean, no matter what the All-Star competition is, no matter what the sport is, you're going to have people that are going to get snubbed. But at least if you have the right format, you could kind of mitigate it and control it to a certain extent. And I just think the NHL, once again, dropped the ball on this one. And I think, well, looking back at all the All-Star games in the past and how those were set up, they're really nostalgic for me just because of how perfect they were and how iconic. And I feel bad for, in a way, I feel bad for the kids growing up in today's generation who they look at the All-Star game, which should be a highlight of the year for the world of hockey and an opportunity to grow the game, like you guys said, but they're kind of seeing it not lived up to their full potential. Like, I was lucky to grow up in a generation where I was seeing the best version of the All-Star game going on. And I just feel bad for these kids who can't really share the same experience, you know? It's just it's just sad.
I remember the
Completely agree.
Montreal All-Star game was probably the best in my lifetime that I've ever seen. I believe it was 2009. Not sure, but the one where you had Ovi in the shootouts and Patrick Kane, like all that was top notch. Like that is what you need to do. This new format, trash, garbage. Nobody likes it. Nobody, and even the players. Some players don't even go to the All-Star game. Like it's supposed to be an honor. Like, oh my God, I'm an all-star. Like, of course I'm gonna go. It's cool. But now guys are like, yeah, whatever. It's I don't care. Let me get some rest.
I remember Price and Ovi. I remember Price didn't go in 2019, but I'm pretty sure Ovi, I don't know if it was 2019 or the year before. He said like, I don't want to go. I just want to take a day off. And then they both got suspended one game for not going.
Yeah.
So yeah, bottom line, get it fixed, NHL. Do what you need to do, but get it fixed.
That's it. Listen to the
Setups.
fans, please.
Yeah.
Listen to the fans and listen to the players.
My God. So, anyways, boys, I think we've touched on everything about the game and outside the game. Let's go back to final ruling. Offside or no? What do you think?
Offside, obviously.
Offside.
Is that possession of the puck? Is that possession?
No goal.
I don't think so. I have no idea. It's not even touching his stick. Like, come on.
No.
How could they take so long? And I'm gonna sound like a broken record here, but how can they take so long reviewing this, having all the possible camera angles available to your disposal, and you still get it wrong?
Mm-hmm.
And you waste all the players' time, all the fans' time. This is honestly a disgrace to the game of hockey. And NHL, I'm gonna repeat myself again. Fix it. Do what you need to do, but fix it.
Yeah.
This is.
I mean,
enough.
If we recall here, I forget if it was yesterday or the day before, but in the Colorado-Nashville game, I don't know if you guys saw, in overtime, the refs call a too many men penalty on Colorado when it was Nashville that actually had too many men on the ice. And guess what? Nashville scored. They won the game off of a referee blunder once again. So, to say that the referees are a part of the game, yes, they are, and we have to adapt to that. But then in situations like these, they decide the ending of the game. They decide how the game goes. So something needs to happen. We touched on it. Some accountability would be nice. A post-game presser or even a fine, damn it. Like, make it so that the refs have something to lose, because right now they don't. They don't even lose their job because nobody else wants to be a ref, right? So they're just doing whatever they want. It's a jungle.
Yeah. Like, here's the thing I don't get. Like, I've watched so many broadcasting series on how the NHL referees and video referees operate. They have at least, like, I'm not exaggerating this number, at least 10 different camera angles on every single play. And the fact that they can still get it wrong, or they can say, oh, it's unreviewable, to me, it just boggles my mind. And they really need to work on getting more correct video into the game. I don't even know who I don't even know all the video referees, but they definitely need to get more training there, and they definitely need to have something to lose. Because I remember Dale was saying it about when there was a whole Chris Lee incident during the 2017. I don't mean 2017. I mean 2021. 2021 playoffs against Vegas, when Chris Lee was not officiating up to playoff standards. Here was the big thing I remember he was saying. He said that the referee should be mic'd up and they should answer to the press every game, and I completely agree with that. And that's something I'd love to see, because if the referee is in a different position from what the camera angle shows us, we completely understand. But if the referee says some of the things that they do, like I remembered watching one of the older clips today, and I remembered Dale was saying there was one referee said to him, no, like we're not gonna effing call that against you because because of another reason. But then I remembered that the referee just wouldn't call the kind of penalty because he was upset with Dale Weiss. Like, the referee shouldn't have any biases just because they're upset with one player or something. Like, they should just call the game as it is, and they shouldn't come in with agendas. They should just call the game as it goes, and it should be that simple. Like, I do know hockey's the fastest sport on earth, and mistakes are bound to be made. Believe me, we're all human, and we know these referees are. But here's the thing, in my opinion, Gary Bettman can't go around making statements saying that they're the best officials among all the major four sports in the entire in the entire sporting world, which is completely false because the NBA does have better officials in my mind. MLB, that's debate up for in my mind because we've seen a lot of controversy with the MLB umpiring. Like we've seen them change strike zones depending on the batter, depending on the team. No one forget 2016 Vic Carapazza on Canada Day when we played the Cleveland Indians. I don't know if anyone remembers that, but that was quite an iconic game, which led to Marcus Stroman, Russell Martin, and Edwin Encarnacion all getting tossed, and we eventually went 18 innings, and Edwin and Darwin Barney and Ryan Goings had to pitch. So yeah, but like NFL, I'm not personally not a big NFL guy, but I assume that they definitely have more accountability than the NHL does.
Oh yeah, they make a lot of mistakes too. Let's not get it wrong. And but I think it's a lot better in hockey. I think it's easy to say right now hockey is the worst officiating to date. And to answer your question, MUFC Premier League referees are a lot better than the NHL refs. It's not even a question. I mean, we have VAR right now in soccer right now, and they look at the plays, and more often than not, they get it right. The NHL takes more time into their decisions compared to soccer when it comes to that, and yet they still get it wrong with all these different camera angles. In soccer, no matter what the league is, you have so much less time to make the decision, or it doesn't even take the amount of time it does because it's clear they could see it, and VAR is used properly. So I don't know. I mean, I'm saying this as a soccer fan. I've just seen so much of this, and I see how well they've incorporated VAR. Even though, I mean, there's going to be bundles for everything. Let's not get it twisted. Refereeing is a tough job, and there's so many eyes on you, and it's easy to make mistakes, especially in the sport of hockey, where it's arguably the fastest sport in the world.
Yeah.
So obviously, mistakes are going to be made. So I mean, there's that. But yeah, when you have other sports just doing it so much better than you are, it kind of puts you on the highlights, but in a negative way. Because if they could get it right, why can't you?
That's it. So if we wrap it up here, guys, I mean, last quick topic here. What do we do with the Toronto War Room? Because like you said, Marco, we have reviews available to us. And again, Toronto War Room played a factor in tonight, and they get it wrong a lot, too often for a place where you can see it in slow motion and you have it right in front of you. What do we do with that situation, boys?
Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot that we have to do with it. I definitely think that the officials, I definitely think that, in my opinion, they should be mic'd up. Like, I don't want to like put pressure on them, like, and embarrass them or publicly shame them or anything. But in my opinion, they should be mic'd up, and they should be communication, so all the fans in the stadiums and the fans watching the broadcast can know what's being discussed, what's their consensus call on the play, and what they're looking for. And they should also show the replay that they're looking for up on the big jumbotron and up on the broadcast on the jumbotron and on the broadcast for the TV program viewing of the game. I definitely think all that should be shown. I think the fans should be kept in the loop. And then if they get it wrong, I definitely think that we should do what the KHL does. And then, in my opinion, I think first time we could easily like give them a warning, or maybe they have to make a public apology to the team that they screwed over with the call. They should say like, sorry, like we got this wrong. And they should have to write a formal public apology to the team that they screwed over in the game like this. Or maybe like if it keeps going on, send them to the minors. And if not, if it keeps going on and then like it just gets to a point where it's ridiculous and they continuously make mistakes, I don't think that's kind of the career they're suited for.
Yeah, I think having the refs mic'd up might be a little problematic in the sense that in the sport of hockey, in any sport period, there's always the heat of the moment. There's emotions going around everywhere. And I mean, this is just at the end of the day, something that they can't all necessarily show on TV sometimes, because when there's like a game, especially when there's a game deciding call, there's going to be emotions. There's going to be, F-bombs thrown out there, no matter what, or a lot worse than that in the heat of the moment. So, I mean, just for the broadcast to cover that up would be a nightmare. So I don't know obviously having them mic'd up would give us in real time what exactly everyone's thinking. But for broadcasting purposes, I don't know if it'd be the best call of action, but I'm going to bring back my soccer background here. I'm a big soccer guy, as you guys know. I actually refed in the past, and whenever we had to fill out, whenever a red card was distributed, we had to fill out a report. at the end of the game, explaining in detail what happened so that there is no confusion, so that everybody knows what exactly occurred in the play and that everyone could go along peacefully. I think that the NHL, especially with game deciding calls, needs to do some sort of similar action where they just simply fill out a report explaining, okay, like let's say this situation, this play was not offside because player had possession of the puck before puck crossed the line, yada, yada, yada. But at least this way you have a clear explanation of what this referee is thinking. And that way, even if they get it wrong, the board, the war room in Toronto, or whoever's in charge could look at this explanation and be like, okay, either, yeah, he's right, or no, he made a mistake. But at least if you have it written down, you could see, okay, this is what he was thinking at this moment of time. And then you judge from there. That's my point of view on it.
Yeah. I think it's solved very easily. Just move the war room to Nunavut or something, and bada bing, bada boom, you're done. Like, because since it's located in Toronto, there's always going to be this notion of bias surrounding that place, right? So
especially when you lose to the Coyotes the night before,
just have it in a neutral spot. There's no team in Nunavut, right? I'm just throwing that out, but like, so I think it would be solved very easily. Just move it, and hire new employees, clearly. But yeah, I guess that wraps it up for tonight, boys. Thanks for jumping on. Thanks everybody for watching. Hope you hit that like button to subscribe because we got good content for you guys. Yeah, I think that's about it. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.